I love GPPs, and in this video, we're going to go over my DraftKings Week 9 main slate GPP picks, so stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? For those that don't know me, my name is Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have the bell notification turned on. We're trying to get to 50K subscribers. Let's go ahead and do that, or help me get there. So we're going to be looking at some chalk picks, identifying chalk, contrarian picks, high risk, high upside picks, and let's go right into it. Let's start off with the quarterbacks. Did you know that Lamar Jackson balls out every 3 games? Something like that, right? We see him week 2, 37 fantasy points. And then a few games later, what is that? 3 games later, exactly, 46 fantasy points against the Colts. Not a horrible defense. And then kind of bad. And 1, 2, 3. This will be the 3rd game after that. Week 9 against the Vikings. All jokes aside, I know that wasn't really that funny, but all jokes aside, look what's going on here. We can get this guy at a somewhat reasonable ownership, right? Somewhat contrarian, because he's had some bad games. He's very up and down. Up and down. What does that mean? Up and down. That means inconsistent. That means more boom or bust, right? Against the Chargers, bust. Against the Bengals, I mean, he was horrible and still put up 23 fantasy points. Just think about that. If he just scored just on one more carry, just scored a 12-yard touchdown, that's going to be what, like 11 fantasy points right there just off that. And that would be, instead of 23 points, we're talking about 34 points. So that's how, like, even in a game where he sucks, he's just 12 yards shy of getting 34 fantasy points. Like, I mean, did I do the math right there? Yeah, about 10.2. Yeah, 10.2 fantasy points. So, man, I like him, man. And we're going to be picking a lot of up and down players, a lot of inconsistent or boom or bust players, because that's one thing you do look for. It's one quality you look for in GPPs. Now, I do like to give other options. I hate when people do these DFS videos and just pick all the expensive stud players and be like, oh, that's it, Patrick Mahomes. So I have 2 punt options for you guys. That's one thing we like to identify on this show. Tyrod Taylor, 5,000. He's going to be starting week 1. He did well, surprisingly well. I think it was in the millionaire lineup, or he could have been. He definitely was in some big baller lineups. So week 1 against the Jags, put up 23 fantasy points. And let's see what he can do against the Dolphins. Dolphins have a bad defense. He's only priced 5,000. So that is one punt option for you. Another punt option could be Jordan Love here. And I like both these guys kind of the same. He's 600 cheaper than Tyrod Taylor. He has the ideal matchup going against the Chiefs. Chiefs will definitely score against the Packers. So Jordan Love's going to have to do some things to get this team close to getting a win, to keep him competitive in this game. And for 4,400, you're really not going to be able to beat that price. Great punt play. But for me, I like Lamar Jackson. He's my guy. Just wanted to give you guys 2 alternate options, and they're both punt plays. And I don't think a ton of people will be picking Jordan Love and Tyrod Taylor. On top of that, not every pick has to be contrarian, but just something, it's a small bonus when it is more on the contrarian side. For running backs, if you're looking for an elite option, I do like Dalvin Cook. Really short analysis. He had 1 bad game last week. People won't be picking him. His price is kind of expensive. So people won't pick him because of recency bias. 7.8 points against the Dallas Cowboys week 8. And that was very disappointing. That's going to leave a bitter taste in fantasy owners' mouths. Yuck. Another elite option without the elite price is going to be Nick Chubb. And the Browns are going against the Bengals. Basically, same thing. Very disappointing performance. Almost the same exact score as Dalvin Cook last week. Should rebound in a big way against the Bengals, and absolutely love it. And the price is $1,000 cheaper than Dalvin Cook, so I really like that. And again, because he had one bad game last week, ownership percentage won't be that high. And here we go with a very inconsistent player here, Myles Gaskin. I'm going to be honest, this is just a 50-50 shot. I've done research, I've looked, and I don't want to try to come up with a conclusion and then just, present, like, skew the facts, skew the numbers to support my claim. There's no telling how good Myles Gaskin is going to do. Is he going to have another 5-carry, 3-target type of game, or is he going to have another really good game where he puts up 30 or 20 fantasy points? You really don't know. And I think that's kind of ideal for GPP. The price is right. The talent's there. The opportunity could very well be there. Remember, Malcolm Brown is out, and Salvon Ahmed hasn't been getting too many opportunities. So Myles Gaskin is the guy, possibly. I mean, he's theoretically the guy, and that's the whole thing, right? He could suck. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 7 fantasy points. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like 21 or 22 fantasy points. So Myles Gaskin, again, 5,800 going against the Texans, kind of a boomer bust type of player, very inconsistent. Okay, so here's another one. And I really like my picks for running back, but they're scary to present because I know all these guys could be just absolute trash, but that's really the point of GPPs. You want your guys to be trash or great. I don't want consistent, bland numbers. I don't want that. I want guys to pop or not. And Gainwell, somewhat similar to Lamar Jackson. What is it, like every 3 games? He's been okay, right? So week 1, he was okay. Then he sucked. Week 4, really good numbers, 21 fantasy points. And week 7, okay, 15 fantasy points. But week 8 was the biggest disappointment from Kenny Gainwell. Everyone started him in season-long leagues because Miles Sanders was out. But here we have a game that is going to be high scoring. He's going to probably get around the same opportunities as Bernard Scott on his team. So this one's a very tough one to get behind. But there's one thing that we do have. He can catch the ball. So if he does get a lot of targets, he got 0 targets last game. I mean, that was just a bad game script. Didn't do anything with his carries. All 3 running backs got the same amount of carries essentially. So there is an opportunity here. The price is great, even though there is cheaper options like Javonte Williams, 4,800, Devin Singletary, 4,500. I think the ownership will be down. I think the opportunity is there. He could boom. He could potentially have the best game he's ever had this year. Then again, I really wouldn't be surprised if this man gets 4 fantasy points. We don't know. What I do know is the Chargers are much better offense, much better team than the Lions. Don't think the Eagles will have a commanding lead like they did last week. The Lions just basically did absolutely nothing, and the Eagles scored at will every drive. It was just highlight reels of the Eagles celebrating like every second during that game. This one's not going to go that way. I really don't think so. And that's going to present a better game script for Gainwell. Again, 0 targets. I don't think he's ever got 0. Yeah, he's never got 0 targets in any game this year, except that crazy game against the Lions. 44-6 was the final score. This game will not be 44-6. Again, Kenny Gainwell, 5,000 going against the Chargers, not against the Lions like last week. Now, these guys I'm not recommending, but I do have 2 punt options. We call this the minimum price club, and that is going to be Salvon Ahmed. Now, I actually would be a bit surprised if Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed both were terrible. I would be pretty surprised. I feel like one of them should do well. Don't have a lot of confidence in Salvon Ahmed, but he is minimum priced $4,000 going against the Texans. And like I said before, Malcolm Brown is out. So we'll see what he can do. Maybe the Dolphins have a commanding lead and it becomes a Salvon Ahmed game. I don't know, something to throw out there. And this one, I really do hate just because I feel like it's not going to be as contrarian as I want it to be. And that's Derek Gore, Frank Gore's son. Just kidding. He's not Frank Gore's son. But he looked really good on one drive. The last game, Chiefs going against the Giants. No targets. It looked really good as a runner. Scored. I mean, it was great. Now, the problem is that people look at it and be like, oh, like he put up 10 fantasy points. People are adding him in redraft leagues. People are adding him in dynasty leagues. Like it's just a bit annoying. He only got about 20% of the snaps, I think, as far as running backs go that game. So that part's going to be annoying that people think this guy is so legit and everything, but this is what I do like. I like Harrison Butker this week. Chiefs D's okay this week. The Chiefs are going against Jordan Love, not Aaron Rodgers. So this game script could be a Derek Gore game script, and I think he's earned himself a bigger role. Now, if this was a different type of game and maybe Aaron Rodgers was actually playing, I might like Darrell Williams more, who could catch some balls. But in this game, as a punt, Derek Gore, I do like. I just hate that other people know this, right? No one's going to be picking Salvon Ahmed, right? I guarantee that because he's been sucking all year. I just like to see that opportunity before it happens, right? Everyone wants to be late. Everyone's late to the game. Oh, he's already done well. I'll pick this guy. I like to pick guys that have been sucking. That's when no one picks them. And so Derek Gore, a little bit too popular for my taste, but I do like the game script. I do love the price. But those last two guys are just minimum price club, absolute punts. Okay, let's move on to wide receivers here. Around this mid-price range, I have two guys I do like. They're okay, and that's going to be Brandon Cooks with Tyrod Taylor back. Brandon Cooks should be even better, and he's been pretty dang good this year. And a lot of those games were with Davis Mills, so he's going to only get better with a somewhat legitimate quarterback. And he's 6,100 going against the Dolphins. That won't be too contrarian. Neither will this one, I don't think. The price is great. The matchup should be good. Hollywood Brown, great stack with Lamar Jackson. Either you go with him or Mandrews, or you know what? I'm going to risk it this week. I might go with both. I might double stack Lamar Jackson, which is deadly, right? You don't want to double stack Jalen Hurts, right? And you usually don't want to double stack Lamar Jackson. Almost never, but I might do it. I don't know. I just have it. There's really nothing to support doing that. It's a dumb decision, but I'm just going with my gut. I might double stack Lamar Jackson. Anyway, Hollywood Brown, though, whether you want to go with Lamar or not, his price is great. Matchup's great. He's been great. So it's kind of a no-brainer pick here. And again, will not be contrarian because the price is way too sexy. Now let's go on to some cheaper ones here. And, of course, there's a ton of wide receiver options. So pick the picks you like, and hopefully you consider some of my wide receivers, maybe a salary cap relief, something like that. So with all the injuries going on to the Cardinals, we like Rondale Moore, 4,200. He should get a lot of those quick passes, jet sweep, things like that. Manufactured gadget plays, blah, blah, blah. Kyler Murray probably won't play. DeAndre Hopkins, good chance he doesn't play. And A.J. Green's not playing, so that's going to really open up a lot of snaps for Rondale Moore. 4,200 going against the Niners. And we know what happened to Henry Ruggs. He's not playing. And so we have Brian Edwards at 4,100. This one's a little more obvious, and I really like this one as far as a boom or bust play. We know he has big play potential. Hasn't quite reached it yet. We've seen glimpses of it this year, though. Week 1, Week 3, and this last week, he had his best game. Well, not Week 7 before the bye. Here's one a little less obvious again, or more contrarian. Brandon Ayuk. Now, He does suck, and we can't trust him. So a lot of people will say he hasn't been good. He's not good. But one thing you can't deny is that he's getting more opportunities and he's vastly improving. So if we draw a Brandon Ayuk non-suckage chart, it's going up, 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 up every single week. It's going, I mean, there might be a little dip here, but Deebo Samuel has a calf injury. He's hurt. Very worrisome for me. George Kittle's first game back. I'm pretty sure he's healthy and everything. But with all the stuff going on with the Niners, I think this is a great GPP pick. The price is right. The opportunities could be there. Deebo Samuel is an injury risk, and he is questionable. I'd love for Deebo Samuel to play, but I don't know if he's going to play, man. And I don't know if he's going to get re-injured or be limited. So this is a big opportunity for the Niners to beat the Cardinals, for Ayuk to step up to the plate and do something. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if he gets the snaps, because I think he will get the opportunities. 4,100 going against the Cardinals. And for my super punt, that's going to be Nico Collins. And, I'm mentioning this Texans-Dolphins game a lot. Don't target too many players in this game, even though I brought up a lot of them. Pick one, maybe two, and don't pick too many in this game. I don't think that's a good idea. One or two should be good, though. Because the price is great. Like, the price is great. The value is great. Someone's going to be contrarian. But anyway, we got Nico Collins. He is a rookie wide receiver on the Texans, and he's been getting some opportunities the past 3 weeks. And let's see if he does anything with Tyrod Taylor. They might not have a lot of chemistry, but he's starting to play more. So let's see. Maybe Brandon Cooks gets double covered. Maybe he gets more attention. I don't know. But this is really nothing more than a punt, and I don't think he will be owned that much. I think he will be somewhat contrarian. Again, 3,600 going against the Texans. We got Nico Collins. So I'm going to have a lot of options for tight end and defense. Hope you guys don't mind. Hope you guys don't cancel me. Hope you guys don't stop watching. Hope you don't unsubscribe. But all for good reason. So number one, Kelce versus Darren Waller. I'm going to avoid Travis Kelce. Kelce and Waller is projected to be right around the same amount of fantasy points, but Waller is much cheaper. 7,000 for Kelce, 6,200 for Waller, and I actually have Waller being the number one tight end this week. So no Henry Ruggs. I like Darren Waller, 6,200 going against the Giants. We kind of talked about Mark Andrews. He's 5,500 going against the Vikings. That's pretty good. Dalton Schultz, 4,800. They're going to be great. I don't think Blake Jarwin's playing. Not that he's relevant. Some other questionable players like CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, I think's questionable, but he's going to play. So with all that, Dalton Schultz should be good. And one bad game finally, so might take down his ownership percentage a little bit. Here is an obvious one, kind of like Hollywood and Brandon Cooks were. Dallas Goedert's a very obvious pick, right? You got this 30th here, so people look at that, be like, oh, great matchup. 4,500. People look at that, be like, oh, great price. People look at Zach Ertz. Oh, he's off the team. So this one's going to be a very obvious pick. I still like it a lot because this game is going to be more higher scoring, more competitive. So I do like Dallas Goedert, but I just wanted to make it clear it is an obvious pick. Great value pick. Great floor, decent ceiling. Let's go on to two much more sexier, much less obvious picks. This is an ideal GPP pick. No one's going to be picking Jared Cook. The price is great. The matchup should be just fine as well. And he's been kind of boom or bust. We haven't seen a lot of boom for him. But with Herbert throwing the ball, anything can happen as long as this guy gets targets and scores a touch. Like, we need him to score a touchdown. That's for sure. But at this price, I think if he just gets in the end zone, wow, I hit that off. It might be worth it. Like this game here, 12.5 fantasy points. That might be good enough because you get 12.5 fantasy points at 3,300. I mean, look at that. That is half the price of Darren Waller. So Darren Waller would have to score about 24 fantasy points to hit the same value as Jared Cook scoring 12.5 fantasy points. Right? Just think about that. 3,300, kind of close to minimum price, which is 2,500 for tight ends. By the way, there's no tight end at 2,500 that I like or that I really consider. Now, if we're looking for a punt play, this one's going to be great. We're looking at Albert O. Now, he is questionable, but is expected to play. The starting tight end, Noah Fant, is not expected to play. He's likely out. And that's why we like Albert O. Now, he's almost minimum price at 2,600 going against the Cowboys. Broncos are probably going to have to throw the ball at least at some point, whether in third quarter, fourth quarter. I don't know. They're going to have to throw the ball. And we've seen Albert O perform quite well a lot of times with Noah Fant in the lineup. Remember Albert O last year as well. So we love Albert O, 2,600. And that is so cheap, right? He's going to reach, like, if he gets 5 targets, that's going to reach value. If he gets 6, that's a number I always look for tight ends. I want my tight end to get 5 or 6 targets. I want my wide receiver to get 7 targets. That's usually the number, even though that's definitely not everything. That's just a good number I like to look for generally. Obviously, 7 targets that Jalen Hurts throws at Devontae Smith don't mean anything. But, 7 targets to Antonio Brown, though, that means a lot, right? So, of course, like I said, it's not everything, but I'm just trying to quantify it for you. If this guy gets 4 targets, whatever, that still could be great. If one of us a touchdown, would be incredible. But we're looking for 5 or 6 targets. That would be amazing for Albert O. Just think about how much better this guy is going to probably be, at least value-wise, than a lot of these other tight ends like Evan Ingram, who I actually kind of like. But they're priced so much more expensive. Most of the tight ends you're going to pick are going to be almost twice the price. It was Albert O, right? Tight ends are about 4,700. Albert O is 2,600. That's so much cheaper. That's going to give you a lot of relief. Like, you'd be able to afford a guy like Kamara in your lineup, or a guy like Tyreek Hill, for example, or easily be able to afford Lamar Jackson if you got Albert O in your lineup. Hopefully that was helpful for tight ends. I know I named a lot of options, and we got a lot defense, and I named these because Patriots D, number 1 option more than likely, or number 2 or number 3. They're elite, but you might not want to spend that much on a defense, right? So they're 4,100 going against the Panthers. We love them if Sam Darnold is out, if CMC is limited, but regardless, they should be great anyway, because Sam Darnold is questionable. We love the Patriots D. Bills D should be great. 4,000 going against the Jags. Kind of expensive. Saints D's okay. Cowboys D's okay. Chargers D, kind of a weird one. Dolphins D is okay. Ravens D, kind of a contrarian pick there. Okay, so this is one I do like. Niners D, 2,800. We already talked about Kyler and Hopkins probably going to be out. I love the Niners D. Should be able to dominate this game with fantasy points. That's what in real life could be a close game. But as far as fantasy points, I feel like the Niners are built to find a way to score, right? We saw the Colts D score some fantasy points Thursday Night Football. They allowed a lot of points in real life. We saw the Bengals D, huge upset. They lost to the Jets, right? But they got some points, right? I feel like the Niners D will get you some fantasy points. And at this price, 2,800, that's below average, right? That's 1,200 cheaper than the Bills, 1,300 cheaper than the Patriots. So we love the Niners D, 2,800 going against the Cardinals. Browns D, this is a stupid contrarian pick. I wouldn't recommend them, but they are 2,500. Could be kind of cool. I just feel like with Odell Beckham getting released, people's perception of the Browns will go down, right? Their stock will go the Browns are kind of a joke, right? People will start thinking more like that. And that's why I'm like targeting some of these Browns players like Chubb. And I don't know if I will pick the Browns D. I'm just giving you guys some other options. But a more obvious one and a cheap punt play is going to be the Chiefs D. Now, I do condone this behavior here. If you want to pick the Chiefs D as a punt, as salary relief, I absolutely love it. Now, it's all about Jordan Love. Like, we know this defense is not good, but all it really takes is one play. Look at this. They went up against the Giants and got 6 fantasy points. I think if you get 6 fantasy points from the Chiefs, you're going to be very happy. Now, that might not be enough to win the Millie Maker, 6 points. Also, probably is not bad enough for them to solely lose you the Millionaire Maker. So we do want more than 6 fantasy points, but you should still be pretty happy with 6, right? If they got you 6, let's say, it's not a great number. What would the Patriots? The Patriots would need to get like 11 to match that, which is very doable. So yes, I don't think the Chiefs have a ton of upside. They're not that great, but salary relief, man, that could really help at 2,300. I think I'm going with the Niners. I like that. You know, the prices, it's only 500 more expensive. And you know what? Even if Kyler plays, like, that might still be good because he's not going to be able to run on that ankle. And I don't think Hopkins is going to play. And he's able to get hurt right away. So that might even be better if miraculously Hopkins and Kyler play. And then they both suck or they get re-injured or something and be like, hey, I'm the only guy with the Niners D. And, you know, it's looking good for me. So yeah, non-home. I'm more Niners shirt. That's nothing to do with that. Nothing to see here. All right, guys, make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. We're going to end it there. We also have a second YouTube channel. It's called Fantasy Couch Podcast. Please head on over there and subscribe to that. Links below in the description, or you can find it at Fantasy Couch Podcast. We have a lot of fun on that second channel. Good luck this week in Redraft, Dynasty, DFS, whatever you play. All right, guys, let's go get that W. Let's finish in the green. Let's do it.